Good morning. My name is Robert Nelson. I'm principal at Lin-Wood Public School. And today we're going to be talking with two new staff members that have joined the Lin-Wood school system this year, Ms. Danielle Maher and Mr. Lincoln Robertson.
Talk a little bit about where you grew up, high school, college, and a little bit about your background.
I grew up in Wolfboro, New Hampshire. I went to Kingswood Regional High School. I went to Plymouth State University, graduated from Plymouth State. I did, then I went and furthered my career, and I went to school at Granite State College, and I got my special ed degree.
Now, when you first, you've been working in the school system, when I say you're new, you're really not new to the school, but you're new to a regular teaching position. How many years have you worked in the district prior to being in a regular classroom?
I basically worked in the K through 5. I worked one-on-one with students, and I supported other students in the classroom with it being any curriculum that the teacher needed assistance.
Talk about your assignment this year. What are you doing this year?
I'm a first grade teacher. I am teaching all the subjects: math, literacy, science, social studies. We're into the responsive classroom this year, so I am implementing that as well in the first grade.
Talk about the responsive classroom. What does that look like, and how do you incorporate that into
Responsive classroom. There is just the pledge. We follow up with greeting one another. We have share, so everyone gets to share. There is a chime that the students, we've practiced this. When the chime is ring, then the students will freeze, look at you, and wait for a direction, so they're really good at knowing that chime noise. And so they'll stop and look, and then if they don't do what's expected, we'll just do it again. And they usually follow the directions really, really well, and it's really nice. Also, the students with responsive classroom, there's a lot of breaks and movement breaks, so that they're not sitting all the time and getting a lot of just talked to or at. They get to move around, and there's some brain breaks and whatnot, so it really gets them breaking up their day.
Why did you get into education? How did you get to this point?
I love working with students. I've always loved children, so I knew I always wanted to be a teacher. It's that moment when they have that aha moment, and you just see it in their head, that little light that blinks on, and oh, I understand that, I get that. And that was the rewarding part, so that's why I wanted to be a teacher.
You talked about you teach multiple subjects as an elementary teacher. If you had a favorite lesson in any one of those subject areas, what comes to mind and say, oh, this is what I really like to teach?
I like science. I like the experiments in science. Right now we're doing our rocks unit, so we're teaching them about igneous rocks, and we're making volcanoes. So that's like something hands-on I really like to do with the children.
You've been here 6 weeks, roughly 6 to 8 weeks, and you kind of thinking through this year and looking ahead. Any short range goals or long range goals that you would like to think about as you move forward?
Continuing with the responsive classroom is one of my short range goals. Long range, it is mostly, we're getting a new curriculum, so I have to learn the curriculum and input and develop lesson plans and put that into it. But I want to learn more about the technology within the classroom, and also I'm inputting the daily 3 and the daily 5. So I'm learning more strategies and goals to work with those students.
We talked a little bit about education, why you get into education. Hobbies that you have outside of school that occupy some of your time in that region?
Hiking is one of our hobbies at my household. I also love playing hockey. I'm hopefully getting into a pickup league this year. I like to play lacrosse, and I like to throw the ball around with my daughter. I like to bake also. Those are mostly all my hobbies.
Now you played hockey in college
Yes,
at Oklahoma State?
yes.
Did they have the new arena there when you were there?
They did not, and that was really upsetting because they were building it when I was graduating.
Oh, really? So
Yes.
you didn't have a chance to do
No.
that? Yeah.
But
That's quite a facility that they have there now.
yes, I have done public skating there. It's
Oh.
very nice.
That's good. Well, thank you for joining us today, just to get a little bit of an idea of new staff members and who you are and what you're about. Any final thoughts?
I am just very happy to be here at Lin-Wood. So thank you.
Well, we're glad you joined us, and thank you for being part of Channel 3.
We'll be back in a few minutes with Lincoln Robertson, high school math teacher. Lincoln Robertson, who is a new high school math teacher at Lin-Wood Public School.
Would like to welcome you to Channel 3, welcome you to Lin-Wood School.
Thank you very much. It's very nice to be here.
Oh, that's great. Can you talk a little bit about your background and where you grew up, where you went to high school, college, education that you may have had?
Okay. I grew up, I used to work in Pittsburgh, up in the far north, and they all called me a flatlander. So what I realized was I grew up in the deep south, because I grew up in Keene. I went to Keene High School, class of, 300 or 400. From there, I went to Hobart William Smith in upstate New York, which is a town about halfway in size between Lincoln and Keene. It was a good fit for me. Never had any interest in going into education. I took some time off and taught. I worked as a teacher's aide for a semester at a school called the Norman Howard School in upstate New York in Rochester. And I have never, working construction, working in factories, I have never been as exhausted at the end of a work day as I was coming home from there. And I absolutely loved it. And I said, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. If you told junior and high school me that I was gonna be a teacher, a math teacher, I would laugh in your face and just not ever believe that was where I was gonna go. So after that, grad school at UMass Amherst, 2 years in the math department, and then I switched to the education department because I sort of went into the math department thinking, yeah, I wanna be a college professor. Just realized actually middle school is where I really like to be. But that was before I discovered statistics, which I love teaching statistics, so I'm stuck in high school.
When you spent some time teaching up at the Tech up in Berlin as well?
Yep, I did 13 years at community college.
Yeah, yeah. What did you teach there?
Same stuff, math, statistics,
Yeah.
calculus, pre-calculus. Nothing terribly different than what I teach here, actually.
Talk about your day here, Lynn. What classes you're teaching and kind of what your day looks like.
Well, my day starts at 4 o'clock in the morning when I get up, and I do my workout if I can get myself up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Drive in, try and be here for 6:45, so if I have students who need anything, I can help them in the morning. So I try and be here for that hour to get my work done, but also to be here for students. I know that typically teachers bring a lot of work home. I'd rather be here at 6:45 and be here till 5, because it's an hour and 15-minute drive home, and by the time I get home, I'm exhausted. So getting work done at home, I'd rather just stay here and get it done. Third period, I have a consumer math class, which is a new thing for me. We're trying to sort of making up the class as we go along a little bit. And then integrated math, which when I taught at the high school before, it was very, Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2 was the old school structure. So the integrated math is a little bit different. It's taking some getting used to, but it actually makes a lot of sense the way they move from one topic to the next. And then my favorite class, statistics, which is my favorite class by material. Actually, I'm amazed. I don't remember high school students being so well behaved and polite. So I'm sort of walking in here feeling like I've walked into a Twilight Zone. The students here are way more pleasant, just as people sometimes than my college students were. Advisory lunch, another section of integrated math, and then it's called advanced math here. Some schools call it math 4, some schools call it pre-calculus, but it's that sort of stepping stone to calculus. I'm a little disappointed because it's a great class, but next year I think they're all going to take calculus. And I was hoping they'd all take statistics because they're a fun class.
Usually I ask about if you had to teach a lesson and you could choose any lesson that you wanted in math that you teach. And for some reason you mentioned statistics 2 or 3 times, so I have a feeling it may be connected to statistics. But if you could talk about a lesson, even in statistics, and say, wow, that's something that really excites me to teach, and that's something I really enjoy, talking about with students.
There's a topic in statistics. It's called goodness of fit. And what you're looking at is I have a population, and one of the examples we use in class that we'll talk about is blood type. Say there's been some big natural disaster, and you have all these blood types, and you would like to know about the population that was involved. You can actually look at their blood types and compare them to different ethnic groups, and you may find that, oh, this happened to a group of Eastern European Jewish people, or a group of black people, or a group of white people, based on how the percentages of blood types. It's really kind of an interesting thing. So to introduce it, we use M&Ms and Skittles, because we don't want to actually go out and cause a great big natural disaster and then have to look at blood types. So it includes statistics, an understanding of sort of forensic science a little bit, and candy. So it's the perfect lesson.
You've been here 6 to 8 weeks, and you had a chance to kind of get your feet wet and think about something. There's kind of short-range goals or long-range goals that come to mind, something kind of what you'd like to share?
Short-range goals, making it through the week, getting my paperwork in. So far, the principal's been really nice in not yelling at me, because my lesson plans always come in a little bit late. And one of my long-term goals is to get away from that catching up and get more into the proactive, I'm ahead of things. To some extent, it's just getting used to a new system. But I really feel like that's where I'm really not doing as well as I should be. I think in the classrooms, my goal is for everyone to pass. And I've got my fingers crossed. Even the students who seem to want to be a challenge to me also seem to want to succeed. So at the same time they're challenging me, they're also doing their work or trying to do their work. So I have very high hopes for them.
Hobbies that you have outside of teaching that you could share, so people get a little bit of an idea of some things that you enjoy doing.
Okay, I worked as a raft guide for 13 years, owned a rafting company for those 13 years. I love whitewater paddling. Ran a bike shop for 3 years, love mountain biking and road biking. I should be in far better shape considering my hobbies, but I also have 2 kids who I do seem to do most of my time is driving them around from one practice to the next. So my hobbies get a little shortchanged by my responsibilities, but basically anything outside. I teach skiing because it's the only way I can afford to get a pass for skiing, but I also enjoy it. Actually, on the 17th, there was a job fair at Bretton Woods. My daughter's 14th birthday was the 16th, so she's now old enough to work. She's so excited. The first thing we did on her first day of being a 14-year-old was went for her to apply for a job, so we're going to be teaching skiing together this one, which is really exciting. So it's kind of a hobby, kind of a career, but it's both.
We'd like to thank you for joining us today and sharing some of your things that I think that people would like to know about you. Any final thoughts before we call you?
That would be the one thing I want all of my students to know. If you ask the question, you're likely to get an answer. You may not like the answer, but you'll get it. If you don't ask the question, you'll be forever confused.
Great. Well, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
We'd like to thank everyone for joining us today for our new teacher interviews. And once again, we would like everyone to know that we appreciate your support of our efforts to bring news from our school and community to you. Thank you and have a great day.